Today I wanted to show, I've got three Oregon lamination, I'm a war gamer, so what we use these for is clipping the corners of war games, the little counters. So what I wanted to do to show you today, I've got three of them. Two of them are broken. One of them I have repaired. One of them hasn't had any damage to it. And one of them I haven't repaired yet. So I want to kind of show you what I did to repair it and just show you where it broke in case you have the same problem. So first of all, let's start. Here's one that this one actually has a little slight defect in it, but this is basically what you get when you buy it. It works really well, really smooth. You put the counter in here and you just push down and clip it. I don't have any to clip right now, or I'd show you, but basically it's very simple, very easy, and it works great. This is the all of these are 2.5 millimeter counter clippers. So after I did I'm estimating about 10,000 counters, which is a lot. So that's 40,000 clips. I know that sounds ridiculous, but once you get into a pattern, you can pretty quickly do quite a few. So after I did about 10,000 counters, it broke. Both of these broke, and this part right at the top, the way this works is this goes in here, and at the top, this little piece sits up here, and it pushes down on this piece. So it pushes that down, and it's just plastic. And I tried, you can see here, I tried just using epoxy and it didn't work. So I glued these together with epoxy. I tried it, and the first time I used it, it popped. Let me show you a little bit about how this goes together. There's just a pin here. So you just slide this in, and I just used a little, you can use a nail, or I had a little punch. You just punch that pin out, and then you can pull this out. And there's two little blue covers, as you can see here. These covers go here and here. You just pop those out and then pop that pin out. This will actually come right off too, as you can see. You can pop this off. There's a spring right here. So if you do take it apart, make sure you get that spring back on. Okay. So after it broke, what I did, this one is one that broke also, and it's now repaired. Okay, what I did is I put, as you can see right here, you can see the difference. This one doesn't have a screw. This is the one that's never had damage. This one does have a screw right here at the top. So what I did is I took these parts and I epoxied them together like so. Let it set. The epoxy I had, I think it said it cured in 24 hours. So I let it sit for 24 hours, put it in a press. Then after that, what I did, you can see right here, there's a little bit of, it's very, very small, but there's a little spot here where you can, what I did is I drilled down through the top and into this little piece right here. Okay. It's this piece right in here you have to hit, and you don't have a lot of room to hit it with. Use 1-inch screws, they're number 4s. So you need about an inch. I wouldn't go too much bigger, and I wouldn't go too much smaller. If you go too much bigger, you might could hit this hole here. If you go too much smaller, I don't know that you're going to have enough grip. So what I did is I drilled down, and then this screw goes through. Of course, it's in the middle of this piece, but it goes through and it's down in here. You can see here's where the break is. This piece, try to repair it. As you can see, here's where the screw is, and I've clipped several thousand more after it broke and I did the repair. The hardest part about this whole repair is trying to hit that little spot there with your drill. Okay, so what I want to do now is I'm going to mix up the epoxy. It's a DEFCON plastic welder is what it's called. It's a 2-part epoxy. So I have these little pudding jello cups. So you just squirt some in. I'm not getting, the most important thing here is to make sure you get an even you get the same amount from both sides, and I did not at that time for some reason. A little bit. If you get the same, if you get uneven parts, you're not going to get a good. You're not going to get a good bond. And yeah, much better. Okay, you don't need a lot. So I used it up here. Glue's not working very good. Okay, that did not work very well. Okay, I'm gonna have to redo that. Most of this is gonna get squeezed out when I put it on under pressure, and then I just put the epoxy on here. Really, all this is doing, more than anything, is just kind of keeping it together until you can put that screw on. My experience when I tried this before, it didn't hold by itself. Okay, and then just put it together. Okay, like so, and I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. You're just ready to move on to the next step. Here's the part. It's been epoxied. You can see it's on here pretty good. You just don't want to use it at all to actually clip for, I would give it 24 hours to really cure up. So here is the trickiest part of this whole procedure. First, you need a drill. I use a drill bit, again, that's just a little bit smaller than the drill, of course, than the screw. The support piece is right about here, and I just kind of eyeball it. I mean, the best thing to do is take a really good close look at it before you put it back together, so you kind of know where to go. My drill bit, just kind of line it up so I can't go too deep. You want to go deep enough, so I kind of line it up with the screw about 1 inch. So here we go. Okay, so it felt like I hit solid plastic all the way through. That this needs to have epoxy, that this screw needs to have epoxy. So when you go in that hole, I think it's going to help hold the whole thing together, because you don't have a lot of plastic to work with. So my thought is by putting epoxy all around the screw, it's going to help hold everything. And then what I do is I'm just going to slather this on the screw. Get epoxy all over it. And there you go. That's it. So now this really needs all set up for about 24 hours. The part has had time to cure up, so it's pretty solid right now. So while we have it all apart, before we do anything else, we're going to oil this up pretty good. First thing to do, make sure you there's a spring in here that sits right here. Just take that out, set it aside. Spray lubricant that I'm going to use to hit the right here, and then this pin. Okay, and then just clean it up. So just clean everything up really good. Make sure you get all that lubricant out, because it'll go everywhere. I clean this too. One thing we need to do is make sure there's a little metal cylinder that goes right in here. On this one, when I took this all apart, this just came right out. Okay. Before you reassemble it, put it back on. It goes in this little hole right here. Press it in good. Hammer. You're going to need a little press, a little punch, or a nail or something like that. So what we're going to do now is we need to depress this, and let me emphasize again, make sure this is cured good, because there's going to be pressure on this as soon as you put it in. Even if you don't punch any counters, there will be pressure. Now we're going to be putting this in through here, but we have to depress this so it'll come up, and make sure that little piece of metal is still in, and it is. Okay, here we go. We're going to depress this, and then we're going to take this up through here like so. Okay, now we still have to press this pin in, so this is where your hammer comes in. Just tap it back in. If yours if you're having a little trouble, you may have to wiggle this a little bit to get it lined up right. Now what the punch comes in for, as you can see, there's more. I can punch it in a little bit more with that. There's more on this end than on this end. You just want to try to center that pin as much as you can. So take your punch or your nail and just eyeball it. One little bit more, it'll be centered. Okay. So that's pretty much centered. So that pin now is centered in there. So now, as you can see, this was broke and now it's working again. Last thing you have to do is put these little covers back on. Now these will only go in on one specific way. Let me make sure I can figure out which way that is. Okay. Yeah. So you have to play around. As you can see, it's kind of angled. The angled has to be facing back. So you put it like this. You can play around with that. It's not a big deal. Pop it back in. You just press it in with friction. And we're done. So that's it. So this one now and this one are both working. You can see, listen to the difference. This one needs to be oiled. Hear that squeak? This one with the oil sounds perfect. Here's the newer one that hasn't had a repair. That's it. That's the repair on the Oregon Laminations 2.5 millimeter counter clipper. Thanks for watching. Bye.